Whether we're looking at weight loss or weight gain or even just being healthy, the one thing we need to focus on is our nutrition. And often we get asked the question is what's more important, exercise or diet? Is it 50-50, 70-30? Is that we can't compare them? They're two separate things. It's like asking what's more important in the car, the tires in the car or an engine in the car? You can have a great engine, but without tires, the car's not going to go anywhere. Great tires, no engine, the car's not going to go anywhere. So really, we need the best of both worlds. It's 100% of each. So when it comes to nutrition, what is 100%? Wherever we look, we keep getting conflicting information. Fruit is too much sugar, it's bad for you. Red meat is high in protein and it's not good for you. We should be vegetarians. Vegetables don't have enough substrates in order for you to sustain a healthy life, and they're full of toxins too. So what is good for you? My argument is that every single piece of food that is unprocessed is good for you. When we are born, we have three nodules. One nodule is the brain, it becomes the nervous system. The other nodule is the heart, and it becomes the circulatory system. The third one is your stomach, and everything else built from your stomach. So let me introduce you to your stomach. So many times we think we know our stomachs, but we don't. We don't really understand the processes that we have when it comes to digestion. I meet a lot of people that tell me, oh, I know I shouldn't eat that, but I just like it. I know I shouldn't eat the ice cream, but oh, I love ice cream. And I'm like, but do you really? Or is that a formed behavior or a thought pattern? When you were growing up, you may have been attracted to a lot of ice cream because it was the triumph of the end of the day, the emotional stability after an argument. Whatever it was, you may have an emotional attachment to ice cream. So I often encourage a lot of people to get to know their stomach, create a relationship with your stomach. Learn what your stomach needs. We feed our stomach with what our brain tells us we need to feed it with. And by that, it's kind of like an example. We'll be craving a certain food. We think of nachos, we feed our stomach nachos. When we go back to calories in versus calories out, there's a big structure there that we want to look at. Is yes, that does apply, the majority to weight loss. But when you want to, the whole talk on calories is a podcast in itself, especially from my perspective, because even though we are energy systems, our bodies primarily are chemical systems. The byproduct is energy. So we do need to understand calories in versus calories out. However, the variables are high. There's too many variables for you to get an exact number. We can weigh our food down to the gram, but we never know exactly how much of that is being burnt in recovery, how much is that for cognitive processing, for digestive. We can estimate. So along the way, we want to create a relationship with our stomachs that we are slowly starting to understand what our stomach needs. It's really important to know that it's not what you eat, it's how your body processes what you eat. Let's use one client of mine. He had tuna in his diet, and about a week after his diet plan, he rang me up and asked if he could change the tuna. He says he really wasn't stomaching it. He felt sick every time he ate it. He wanted to eat it. He was forcing himself to eat it because it was on the plane, but his stomach he just didn't feel comfortable on it. And that's when I said to him, mate, of course we can change it, because at the end of the day, if we can have the best piece of food, this food is unique and it's the holy grail of nutrition. It works and has all these benefits. But if you eat it and your body can't process it, it has no benefit to you. We're all different, which is why I encourage a lot of people to look at blood type diets. Many people will argue with that and say, there's not much research in that. It's not very viable. Let's take a step back and just use logic. I personally came across blood type diets through my own personal experience. I'm an A type, and predominantly we don't do well with protein. And during my competitive years of bodybuilding, I noticed that sometimes the more protein I had, the worse I looked. And I would argue that the worse I felt. My body struggles to digest certain proteins. So if that digestive system is under strain, what happens with other meals that I'm eating? So let's look at your stomach as an entity in itself. It's its own person. It does a specific job. It likes to process certain types of, let's say, spreadsheets. And we give it spreadsheets and it easily processes them, no problem. It just keeps going and it keeps processing. Every now and again, we give it a big project, but now we've got PowerPoints and PDFs and word processing. Slightly different to numbers, takes a bit longer to get through, but it stimulates it and it keeps processing. So let's look at the same thing with food. Our stomach will like a certain type of food more often. So even if you don't want to do blood type diets, try and see which foods you bloat on the most. Be consistent with it. So you try a certain food group and you do it for about a week and you see how your body reacts to it. You can use blood type foods from a database and then see how that fits into place with what you were doing. What the next step from then is to see how you react. What are my energy levels like? Did the food sit for too long? Do I feel like a little bit lethargic or bloated? What are my movements like when I go to the toilet? So these type of things will give you enough feedback about how your body is receiving the food you are giving it. Now, obviously, you want to pick foods that are high in minerals and also really good in substrates, so you can meet the best of both worlds. We pay a lot of attention to if it fits your macros. So a lot of people will actually run their diets based on that and eat the right amount of carbs, proteins, and fats in their diet. But it's really important to have your minerals and vitamins in that as well. Your micronutrients are just as important, if not more important, than your macronutrients. How our body processes that from the food it's given is the most vital step in the process, not just what you are eating. You want to eat these food groups that have a high bioavailability of these substrates and micronutrients. Once we start to see how our body reacts to certain foods, we can then pick foods that our stomach particularly likes. I would dare say that after about doing this for 3 months, and you write down a database of foods, you check what your blood type is, you compare those foods to the database of your specific blood type foods, you'll probably realize how close they were. There was a period in time where I was having a lot of coconut oil, because we all know the great benefits of coconut oil. So having a fat meal, I was incorporating that into my diet. But I noticed that every time I came to inject this meal, because as you all know, I feed through a peg tube. So as I was going to inject this meal, I realized I felt sick just thinking about injecting it. I didn't want to have the meal at all. It kind of put me off. And every time I ate it, I felt lethargic. I had a weird aftertaste in my mouth. This only happened after about a week of doing it. And what I realized was that coconut oil was in my avoid list on my A type for blood type foods. So obviously my body struggles to process coconut oil that well. And that means there's more of a strain on my digestive system, as well as my body trying to expel what it can't absorb. That brings me to the next question. Is like I get a lot of people who tend to be very disciplined and restrict their meal sources, so they won't have as many cheat meals. So when we say cheat meals for me is something that's not on plan. It doesn't mean something dirty or something bad. It could be that, but majority of the time I suggest that people have cheat meals that are unprocessed. So you can either call it a relaxed meal or a cheat meal. But I actually go out of my way to blend pizza. I blend pizza every now and again. I blend Tim Tams and ice cream. Like all these things I will blend once in a while. I'd probably say once or twice a week. And I inject it. So I'm not really getting the flavor out of it. And people ask me, why do you do that? I do that for my stomach because I like to keep it active. So the relationship I've created with my stomach is almost like the stomach is my friend. It's my training partner. So the same way I go to the gym and sometimes do an exercise I've never done before, challenge my motor system, challenge my function, challenge my mental approach to the exercise. I put myself in an uncomfortable position. And in that discomfort, I will obviously get some benefits. My body will tweak, learn a new sensation, activate different muscles, and that in itself has a positive rebound effect. So when we come to the gym and we leg press or we squat 200 kilos, we're putting a lot of tension on those muscles. We're tearing the muscle fibers. And it's the process of recovery that gives us the benefits, right? Delayed gratification. Because even though I want to Squat 200 kilos, the next day I struggled to pick up a cap off the floor. I've regressed, but I've only regressed because of the stimulus, where 2 days after DOMS, my muscles feel stronger. I actually have more power, more strength, so I might be able to push slightly more weight the next time. I use the same sort of analogy when it comes to my stomach. If I give it something difficult like pizza or Tim Tams or ice cream, something that it might not be used to quite often, I stimulate it to work in a different way than what it's used to. I might not feel great the next day because I'm either bloated, holding residual fluid from the process of digestion, but I don't let that affect me mentally, where I think, oh my God, I should never have had that ice cream. I'm so fat because of that ice cream. Instead of thinking, oh, my body's working its way through the ice cream. And that in itself gives it a different level of function. So once I do a 200 kilo squat, then I'm pretty sure doing 10 lunges is slightly easier because I can do 200 kilos for 20 reps. The same thing applies when I stimulate my stomach with something different. When it's been given what it's used to, that becomes easier for it. So the process of digestion gets easier. So many times we think of food as very linear. What we eat, we want an external result straight away, whether it's weight loss or muscle gain. But really, there's more of a process in also training your stomach to digest certain foods. So when you stick on a diet that's consecutive and doesn't change for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you're eating the exact same food, your body actually gets weak at digesting other substrates or other food groups. So what you want to do is you want to keep challenging your body in that manner. You want it to always introduce different foods, which is why I say, even if you are on a blood type diet, don't restrict yourself exclusively just to your blood type. You can if you're feeling that your immune system's dropping, you're lacking energy, you feel run down, you're bloated or gassy, or you want to do a detox, then by all means stick 100% to a blood type diet. But if you're going to jump off, it's nice every now and again to throw different food groups in to keep your body working. And then what I also do, which is a really interesting trait, is when I ask people to create this relationship with their stomach. A really good example is, let's say you're going to go out for dinner, but you're not sure what to choose. You're either going to have a seafood basket, a pizza, or a steak and egg. As I'm getting hungry, I actually close my eyes, I meditate, and I imagine if I had actually had that meal. So if I have this seafood meal, how will my stomach feel afterwards? Straight away, I can tell you that I'm feeling a little bit apprehensive about the fries after a big meal. So I can say that I do want the chips, but I've got a feeling those chips are going to feel slightly heavier. When I think of a steak and egg, that feels really appealing, really filling, at the same time quite satisfied, but I also have a sensation of like being kind of lethargic after eating it and heavy in the gut and not as energetically flow as I normally would. Trust me, it's really weird. There's no right or wrong answer. This is just all sensations that you're trying to put into words. But when I think about pizza, that actually sits quite well. So for me, it would either be the seafood or the pizza that I would go. With the pizza, I feel like a delayed energetic effect, meaning I feel like I'm going to feel quite full for a couple of hours, but I feel like the next day I have a lot more energy and glycogen stores. So everybody's different. So if I had to go, I would probably pick the pizza as my cheat meal. If I understand that my stomach's been under stress for quite a while, I would throw in digestive enzymes and things like that to help me process a difficult meal. So remember, guys, it's not always necessarily what you eat, it's how your body processes what you eat. And the main goal that we all should have shouldn't be weight gain or weight loss, it should be health. The moment we focus on our health, we create a foundation where those two, or the outcome, is going to be inevitable. In fact, it's going to be continual, meaning that once we create the foundation of health, then we will naturally direct our body and nutrition to what's healthier for us. And that itself creates an ongoing effect of continuing training. So most of my clients, when they come and see me, Their biggest problem is restricting their food because they fear that if I have that, I'm going to put weight on. And I always say to them, no, no, after being with me for a while, your biggest problem is going to be not getting enough food in because we're going to create a digestive system that's so good that your body's just going to be pulling it in continuously. Now, wouldn't that be a great problem to have? That you can actually go out for dinner, eat what you would like, eat what your stomach would like, and then the next day, still having to eat more because if you don't, you're going to lose a lot of weight or you're going to be unenergetic or not feel like yourself. So, guys, remember, it's not about what you eat, it's about how your body processes what you eat. That is just, if not more important. And not about weight gain or weight loss, it's all about health. I hope this helped.